TBS. New champions.
Swerve is your new champion.
New legacies.
Unbelievable.
It's a new AEW in the aftermath of Dynasty.
It's Jack Perry. He just gave the belts to the Bucks.
Featuring Powerhouse Hobbs versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP Championship.
How far are you willing to go?
AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. Live coast to coast. Tomorrow at 8, 5 Pacific.
It was so over. Oh, so over. But now it's so back, baby. Let's fucking go. AEW back, so back. It's never been more back than it is right now. Now's the time. Let's celebrate. Oh, back in the game. Feeling great. No more doubts. No debate. Whoa. AEW's fate. We are so back. It's never been more back. It was so over. Oh, so over. But now it's so back, baby. Let's fucking go. AEW back, so back. It's never been more back than it is right now. Now's the time. Let's celebrate. Oh, back in the game. Feeling great. No more doubts. No debate. Whoa. AEW's fate. We are so back. It's never been more back. It was so over. Oh, so over. But now it's so back, baby. Let's fucking go. AEW back, so back. It's never been more back than it is right now. Now's the time.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, all right? Make sure you log it in and you remember to check out my good friends over at the Broken Table Podcast live on YouTube. These are some of my good friends. They have some of the best topics going on. They're talking about a lot of good things. And also, they like to put over the Prince Nana dance. Hey, I swerve and I drive. I swerve and I drive. Hey. Don't forget, tune in, log on to the Broken Tables Podcast live on YouTube, my friends.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables Podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our... How you doing tonight, sir?
The fuck was that? Holy shit.
That was one of the fucking... I don't know if you thought it was cool or corny, but I fucking loved that. That was one of my favorite segments in forever. You know me, for the longest time since we've been doing the pod, I think I've told you I want to see Tony Khan somehow get involved. And man, seeing him backstage the last few weeks was great. But seeing him get his ass kicked here tonight was one of the funniest things I have ever seen. And I could not stop laughing. I started screaming to the point where the wife turned wrestling on in the living room to see what I was yelling at. This was great.
Yeah, you know, I see right now in the moment, I want to kind of like touch base on it like after a few days to see how I feel about it. But in the moment, it's so insane and absurd because like Tony Khan said he was never going to do like on camera stuff really.
Yeah.
So like I thought it was crazy enough that Tony was even going to be in the ring for a segment. I was like, when they announced that, I was like, what the hell? Really? Like actually? Like the only time we've seen Tony Khan in the ring on television was like when he bought Ring of Honor and when he like awards the Owen. Other than that, it's usually like him backstage for a pre-tape. So I was like, holy shit, we're gonna get like Tony Khan on Dynamite in the ring, all right? And then they do that whole spot where, yeah, it's hilarious that the Elite gave Tony Khan a TK driver, the Tony Khan driver.
Is that what they called it? I called it the EVP driver. Okay.
No, the move is called the TK driver. They gave him his own.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, in terms of what it means now for the company, I mean, we're gonna get into it. I have some speculation, some theories that we'll talk about as we go through the show. I mean, unless you want to talk about it now, Jeff. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we've kind of let it out the bag, we'll kind of give our thoughts on it later, but I loved every second of this. And I kind of figured when they announced that Jack and Tony were going to be in the ring, something was going to happen. I was like, man, if Tony takes a bump, I'm going to be so happy. And it was more ever imagined. It was absolute in my opinion. I thought it was perfection. I saw a few people say that it was corny, but they still laughed, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I thought it was great. I really did.
See, for me, what really kind of makes it feel significant is the fact that they went 5 years without really doing anything of the sort. And I think that's kind of what makes it acceptable almost, because like I'm not typically someone who, something about WWE that was always annoying was like having like the heel GM or like the heel authority figure. Like I felt like they were just trying to constantly recapture the McMahon Austin thing, and they spent like decades just trying to recreate it. And it's just like, all right, well, you've been doing it for decades, maybe you should stop doing it. AEW hasn't really done anything like that yet, so I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot and see how it works. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, then I'll let you know. But no, I thought it was a great segment, actually, from him and Jack getting together. Jack's pan into the camera, which had to be a shot. Like, it had to be him looking right into the soul of CM Punk. Like, I know.
Oh, dude, the smile.
Yeah, he hugs him. He rests on his shoulder. He looks at the camera. Like, I know they're about to turn on him, but it's just like, I felt like that was a "I'm here, you're not" type thing. That's how I took it, anyway.
I loved it.
But yeah, it was great. Jack punches him in the gut with the mic, which I thought that's all they were gonna do. And then the Elite came out, and I was like, oh no, this is not the end. But yeah, and they lay him out with the TK driver. They leave. The locker room comes out, including the AEW debut of Shad Khan, which, like,
yeah, his dad.
Look, you could say that's corny. I think for me, the fact that that's the first time we've seen him, period. I'm pretty sure. I don't think we've ever seen Shad Khan on any official AEW programming, even like as a cameo. I mean, I could be wrong. Someone correct me if I am. I'll own it. But I don't think we've ever seen Shad Khan.
I don't think so either.
And you know what? Like, I mean, it made sense. They're in Jacksonville. They're at home. The draft's tomorrow, so he's in town. Yep. I think that added to the moment where Shad comes out and is like, yo, like, what happened to Tony? Like, what happened to my son?
My boy.
Yeah, Cedric Diggory. That's my son.
Well, let's go over to the chat real quick. We got Mike Kling saying, wow. Brandon J, what's up, man? Queen Nat says, corny, but I enjoyed it anyway. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, I lost my mind when that happened. We got Eric Douglas, Cry Me a River. Brandon says it surprised him. Nat says, technically Tony took 3 bumps. That is true. The shot to the gut. What was the third one? Shot to the gut.
2, yeah.
Yeah, and then the TK driver. We'll go with... I'll go with 2 for the moment. But man, I thought this was great. Coog, what's up, man? Look how they massacred my boy. Yeah, I thought this was great. But let's go ahead and get started with our AEW Dynamite review. We can go ahead and we'll get to the Tony Khan segment there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
So right off the bat, we start off with the EVPs showing up to the arena. And right away, I didn't think they were going to bring him on screen so early. But right away, we get the scapegoat, Jack Perry, showing up, basically with the EVPs, but in a separate vehicle. Mm-hmm. Security tries to stop him, but the Bucks and Okada stop security and say he's with us. So they let him in. Because everybody was on Twitter wondering, are we going to see Jack? When are we going to see Jack? I was not expecting him to show up, like, right there at the beginning of the show, were you?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was... yeah, I'm surprised you didn't think that they were going to bring him in right away, yeah.
All right, well, I did think it was a good move, so Next up, we had Orange Cassidy. His music hits for him to come out of the tunnel. The crowd goes wild because, Daly's Place loves Orange Cassidy. By the way, we're in Jacksonville, Daly's Place, if I didn't say that earlier.
Yep.
The crowd goes wild, but all of a sudden, Orange Cassidy stumbles out of the tunnel, beaten up, his shirt's torn, and obviously Trent is following behind. Trent whoops Orange Cassidy's ass all the way to the ring, calls out Chucky T, and basically tells Chuck to make his decision, and he wants to give a hug over Orange Cassidy's body.
You got to give the people what they want.
Got to give the people what they want. And I got to be honest, man, I was not expecting them to go this route, but I actually like this. Chucky T says, I've always thought you were a piece of shit, and hits him with the microphone. So we're probably going to be getting Chucky T versus Trent, and I am all for that.
So my thoughts. Number one, congrats to Chuck Taylor for finishing his story. He finally got to say shit on television. That's actually really long-term running thing, is that he's been trying to say shit on TV for years, and it just never has happened, so they finally let him say it. Number two, you know what? I actually don't like Chuck going with Orange Cassidy. I honestly think that it's short term. Like it's a rare thing where I really feel like this was a short term decision on Tony Khan's part, or booking, whatever. I mean, it is Tony Khan, even though he's hurt. On Tony Khan's part, because for me, it's like if you put Chuck with Trent, they can continue to be a tag team and they can continue to strive to win the titles and whatnot. But like with Chuck. With Chuck Taylor being, essentially he's going to be locked in as Orange Cassidy's sidekick. Because Orange Cassidy is a star. Chuck Taylor is not going to bring that star power to a tag team or to a unit that Orange Cassidy does. So by default, you're like, I feel like they're kind of like Saturday is going to be dope. Parking lot brawl between Chuck and Trent, that's going to fucking rock. But what's the plan with Chuck after the Trent thing is over? And I think that's kind of where, for me, it falls flat, where I don't know what the direction is, and maybe they have a plan. I don't know what it is, though, but right now it just kind of feels like Chuck Taylor is going to be the odd man out and the best friends, and that kind of sucks. I would like to see all of those guys go on to do good things.
Yeah.
But I thought Trent's promo was phenomenal. It made a lot of sense. Trent, he apologizes to Chucky, but, he says, like, I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner. That we spent 5 years backing up this narcissistic prick. When we brought him in, he was supposed to be our mascot, and we ended up doing everything for him, and he gave us nothing. Trent says he cares about Chuck. Chuck, goes for the hug and says, I always knew you were a piece of shit, which was also kind of weird. It's like, I don't think you always knew that. No, all right, okay, just a little weird.
Yeah. I thought this was good here. Looks like we're going to get Chuck and Trent in, like you said, a parking lot brawl on Saturday. That's going to be freaking great. I can't wait to see that.
Yep, and answer Coach's question. Yes, it is another 3-hour show on Saturday, which I'm still not happy about. I don't like the 3-hour shows personally.
Watch a long time again.
Yeah, I guess.
What's up, Sergio? AEW is better than WWE. King, what's up, King? Yeah, King. Tony Khan got folded. But this was I actually thought this was a good segment. For some reason, I thought Chucky T was going to join Trent and they were going to go on a heel run. Yeah. But, I'll take this. I'll take a match between the two of them. And, I think it could still lead to a heel run for them, like Trent could beat him in the match and then Chucky T could just join him,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Next up, we had a fucking awesome video package by Moxley for his match with Will Hobbs later in the night. Loved this video package from Mox. This new look at his, not really like new, but he basically has a shaved head now. He looks great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great promo from him, and it's Jon Moxley. He's that dude, man.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, Sergio? I read off your comment. Next up, we had Prince Nana coming out to do a special introduction for our new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Swerve Strickland. And dude, this intro by Nana was freaking awesome. I loved the way that he did the intro for Swerve here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for Swerve, and it's great to have him, come out as the champion. It looks good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Swerve comes out for his match with Kyle Fletcher. They have an excellent match. Crowd is absolutely in love with Swerve. Whose house? Swerve's house. And they had an incredible match here. And Swerve hits a huge Swerve stomp to Kyle Fletcher, but only gets the 2 count, and then finishes it with the house call. Now, I've been saying for a while that the house call looks so cool that needs to be his finish. I was very, very happy here tonight when they finished the match with the house call. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, man, hell of a match. Really loved it. The house call is a great move, so I'm definitely cool with it being more of a finisher moving forward. Yeah, it's a great match. I did want to point out, and this kind of coincides with like giving more thoughts about the ending of the show later, but after the match, they officially announced that Kenny Omega is returning to Dynamite next Wednesday, in Winnipeg.
Yeah, now didn't we see something about that before where it was Kenny was just returning to kind of like say hi and like be there, but I noticed tonight they made it sound like he was like returning.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that up, so I'm glad you did. It's really weird because to bill it makes you think that it's more than just a hello, because like when during, I think it was the media scrum for Dynasty, Tony said that, hey, Kenny's not cleared, but it'd be nice to, if he could pop in on Dynamite to say hi, it would be great to see him. And so I kind of expected maybe they do like a quick little like, hey guys, it's me, I'm Kenny, I'm here, I'm just checking in, love you, bye. But to bill it, like it really makes it seem like he might come back in some sort of role. And I think, we already talked about how the show ends, so I'll just mention it now. What if Kenny's going to be back on the road and we're going to get, maybe Kenny doesn't wrestle yet, but maybe Kenny gets involved as kind of like hey, like you guys are EVPs, but I'm an EVP too.
I was going to say, what if he's like, oh, I'll step in for Tony, like...
Well, I think it would be interesting because it could be like all 3 of them have the same responsibility, or the same power. So it could be like it would be the Bucks and Kenny kind of wrestling for control of the company in a booking perspective almost. I think it could be really interesting if done well.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I mean, hey man, I'm all about a civil war. AEW Civil War, like let's do it. Let's get Captain America versus Iron Man. Let's have those matchups. Like I think that sounds dope. People can hate on it, but like the problem is like I've always been cool with like those kinds of angles or like invasion angles. The problem is that they're never done well. So I mean, if we could get like a good Civil War angle going, like that could be really fucking special. Just comes down if they can do it right. So yeah, I think with Kenny coming back, it just feels like something that they might do. Maybe Kenny will be around more often. The problem is Kenny still needs the surgery, and I don't know how long he'd be off his feet for the surgery. So I don't know.
What if he's already had the surgery and they just didn't want to say anything?
I did think about that. Why wouldn't you? Admittedly, I did think about that. But I don't know. I mean, it's...
Dude, if you think about it, like, imagine when a guy in NFL gets injured and they're like, okay, he's going to be out for 12 weeks or whatever. They get morning. You know what I mean? Like, Tuesday morning. So, the day that Kenny was like, okay, I'm going to be out for a little bit, he should have been scheduled for 2-3 days from there. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of the way it is in sports when you, like, finally decide you're going to be out and you need to get something done. But we really have no idea. So, we'll see on when assumes a role like filling in Tony's spot as an EVP.
Well, that was the funny thing, because before the angle happened with Tony Khan and everything, I thought it was really weird because they were like, Kenny Omega returns on Dynamite, and then like the next segment they say, we will know who Swerve Strickland is facing at Double or Nothing next week. And I'm like, you don't think maybe he's cleared, right? Like, I'm just like, what?
But could he just step in and face for the title, though? I don't know, man. That would just kill our rankings, you know what I mean?
I mean, to be fair, they've kind of not been doing a great job with keeping the rankings afloat as it is.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, if the Bucks are heels and they're EVPs, I mean, it makes sense.
They could just say, yeah, hey, we've booked you up for this match, Kenny. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, or, I mean, truth be told, I do think it's going to be Jack Perry versus Swerve at Double or Nothing.
Okay.
I think that's what they're going to do. I think the Bucks are going to... I think you're going to see the EVP struggle where, like... Because, again, that's... Even in the kayfabe of AEW, the booking is still done by Tony Khan. They say it on the TV, like, Tony Khan books the show. Like, obviously, it's wrestling, so in the kayfabe, everything is on the straight and the legit, but Tony is the one making these matches. Tony is the one that is the authority figure behind the scenes. So without Tony Khan there, you have to assume one of these on-screen characters are going to take up that mantle. So, I mean, it just matters. We'll see who.
Nah, I'm okay with killing the rankings if we get Kenny versus...
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, and it's okay. It's okay to do things in the universe as long as there's a sensible reason for it. For example, in Tony Khan's AEW, it makes sense for Tony to say, no, we have a ranking system here that we're going to adhere to. However...
And now Tony's injured.
Exactly.
So we can't...
It makes it's perfectly acceptable for Matthew and Nicholas to come on Dynamite next week and be like, screw the rankings. We're going to give the title shots to our friends. We're the guys in charge. And it's like, okay, that makes sense.
I agree. All right, next up we had Thunder Rosa and Renee Paquette interview about Rosa's loss at Dynasty. She says Antonia kicked her in the ovarios. I lost my shit when she said that because that was one of the funniest things ever at Dynamite or at Dynasty. I laughed so hard. Where do you think we're going in the women's division here for Thunder Rosa?
Well, I mean, obviously I think it's going to be her versus Deonna Purrazzo. However, I do have a gripe that I need to make known, and maybe this is a hot take. I am requesting / demanding from here on out. Demanding. Any person who is like an extra or a security guard or like a random guy backstage breaking up a fight, if you are not like an established character on the show, you need to like not have like some sort of outlandish hairstyle or facial hair, because the one guy comes in to break up this fight between Deonna and Thunder Rosa, and like, again, this is so stupid, I'm half joking, but like this dude comes in with like a Hogan like kind of like blonde like handlebar with like a regular beard underneath. I don't know, it just looked ridiculous, and I was like, I need like regular looking extras. I need like extras that don't stand out to be extras.
They stood out to me as like those were obvious wrestlers in training. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, these are obviously like young boys. Like,
oh yeah, I mean the extras always.
I don't like that.
The extras always are like that's how they always are. But
but like you said, his facial hair and his hair made it obvious, and it was just like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me, it was like, again, this is a total minor gripe. Like it was a good segment, but I was so distracted. I was by like looking at this dude's facial hair, and I was like,
yeah, I agree.
Who is this guy? Do I recognize this guy? Like, oh no, he just looks weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Looked like he had two ponytails on his face.
It was weird. It was a really weird hairstyle. I like facial hairstyle, and I'm like, I don't like you. I don't like your hair.
That's funny. All right, next up was time for Mina Shirakawa versus Anna Jay, and Mina Shirakawa had Mariah May ringside with her in like a little tennis dress. It was amazing. That's all I could say. And this was a great match. Anna Jay doing fantastic work at this point in her career. Possibly one of the only people that's ever been sucked into that Jericho vortex that I think has come out okay on the other side.
I want to talk about you? Jericho.
Well, we're gonna have to here in a minute.
Yeah,
so
I know you don't want me to get going. I'm gonna get going. You don't want it.
Yeah. But this match was freaking awesome. Mina Shirakawa picks up the victory here over Anna Jay. But Anna Jay wraps up the rear naked choke onto Mariah May, and Toni Storm has to come out for the save. and Serena Deeb's music hits, and we get Serena Deeb in an absolutely incredible outfit, comes and sits on the stairs of Daily Place just observing the carnage that was happening in the ring. I loved everything about this match, the segment after, all of it.
So yeah, number one, in love with Mina. I thought she was incredible.
She's so good.
You can remember this now. Give me the flowers when the time rolls around. I think Mina will be all elite at some point.
Oh, okay. You don't think... Is she not already? Or is she just kind of doing some...
No, she's
just doing
Stardom.
some work?
She's with Stardom, but...
Okay.
She seems to really fit for what they're looking for on the roster. And, giving her the win tonight, too. Like, usually non-contracted wrestlers, if they're giving you a win, like... The expectation is that they really... The idea, or the thought process, is that they really like you. I mean, non-contracted AEW wrestlers beating AEW wrestlers on AEW, like, that list is like Jay White, Okada, and Will Ospreay.
Yeah, it's
and
very
all
small.
3 of them are currently on the roster, so...
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
No. So, yeah, I mean, like, you can remember this, you could bookmark this, whatever. I think Mina... Yes, Nat. Yes, I did. Why, Big Bill? Why? We'll get there, Coach.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Just save it. Just save it. I have them. It's coming. But, yeah, Mina's great. The match was great. Toni Storm coming out to save Mariah is great. It's going to really lead to... Man, when Mariah May turns on Toni Storm, it's going to be something special. Because we started this journey with Toni Storm not even giving Mariah May the time of day. And now we're going to see a point probably where Mariah May is going to turn on her. And it's going to be crazy.
Here's what I'm seeing happen. So, over in Stardom, Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa were a tag team that was kind of like...
Yeah, Venus.
Slightly hinted as being more than just a tag team. You know what I'm saying? What I'm getting at? So...
Sounds like Jeff's stable.
So now it looks like Mariah May, and Mina have they've kissed a couple times here, and in Mina's corner. I think Toni Storm's gonna get jealous of Mina Shirakawa now. Like you said, she went from not giving her the time of day to I think she's gonna go to the opposite end of the spectrum and being jealous.
Maybe. I still see it as the other way around. I think Mariah May ends up leaving Toni at some point. Maybe even being the one to beat her for the title, which I would not be surprised.
I hope so.
And then, yeah, like you said, Serena Deeb comes out, which I thought was interesting. I like Serena Deeb. I think she's great. Lined up for a title shot, though. I mean, I don't know if she's... Again, I mean, the rankings, I guess, won't be a thing so much, but I don't know.
Well, if you look at her records, she's got one of the most impressive women's records in AEW. So
yeah, but a lot of that is padded with the Professor's Challenge thing. But yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I get it.
Listen, she looked incredible. She fit the spot for me when I was watching. I was like, yeah, okay.
No, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Serena Deeb. She's great. Great in the ring. Love the gimmick. It's kind of like a successor to the Dean Malenko gimmick. It's great.
Exactly.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. It caught me off guard. It seemed a little out of right field. I don't know. I don't know who I would have put in that spot. I guess because the TBS championship scene is what it is. I mean, I don't know who I would put up against Toni Storm next. So I guess maybe Serena Deeb does make sense. But it's what they're doing, and I'm sure it'll be great. So
we'll see. Next up, we had Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander in the ring for the celebration of our new TBS champion, Willow Nightingale. And, man, Statlander reads a poem, I guess you would say. And Stokely took the words right out of my mouth, Rome. He goes, "Stat, that was 2 packs of ass." And I didn't expect him to say something like that, you know what I mean? But it was like he just took the thoughts right out of my head. I was like, holy shit, Statlander, that was bad. But it was fine, you know what I mean? Not bad enough to where I hated the segment or anything. But Willow comes out. She cuts a very nice promo. It was a little boring to begin with, but Willow kind of did that thing where she started to amp up her voice and she got a little carried away, and I thought it was fantastic at that point. And that's when Mercedes Moné shows up to interrupt, Mercedes and Willow basically have a little face-off thing. I thought this was great.
So, I overall, for me, this segment was kind of a mixed bag, because I kind of agree with what Nat's saying in the chat, that it was kind of a dumb segment. I mean, there wasn't really much going on here. Like, it was supposed to be a celebration, and they brought Caprice Coleman to do, like, what he does for her in ROH, and that was cool.
Yeah.
They had some balloons, but, like, Stat and Stokely it was kind of dumb. Like, it was just like...
those two ruined it for me, actually.
It
Statlander specifically.
It didn't really land the mark for me. And I thought that was really disappointing, because I thought this was going to be a good time for Statlander and Stokely to betray Willow, which they didn't do yet. They're going to do the slow burn, which is fine. Well, I'm sure it'll be great whenever it happens. But it just... The segment kind of missed for me until, and this is where I will give the segment props, Willow. So Willow, for me, saved this. I thought her promo was phenomenal, and people aren't going to like when I say this, but I think Willow really outclassed Mercedes on the mic tonight too. And I, again, love Mercedes. She's a star. Her star power for me is when she's wrestling in the ring. She is one of the best to do it. Mic work is still, in my opinion, just not her strong suit. So what was kind of a segment that fell flat, and then you have Willow, like you said, she started getting worked up. When Willow started to get worked up, I was so invested in what Willow Nightingale had to say. It was so convicting, like the conviction of it. Just like I'm drawn to it. I'm like, this is a really good promo, just based off not even what she's saying, but just how she's presenting it. It was that damn good. And so, Mercedes is kind of talking about a serious thing with, like, does she hold resentment to Willow for her injury? And, like, I'm just sitting there like, I mean, like, Mercedes was good / fine on the mic, but I mean, like, I just think Willow just has such charisma that it's like, I would use the word aura to describe it almost.
Yeah. And I would agree. I think Willow's promo was better, but I think it needed to be, since this was her championship celebration. You know what I mean? So I loved the ending of this. Like you said, it took a while to get going. I didn't like the beginning of it at all. But once Willow started to get amped up and, Mercedes came back at her, and then the ending of this, I really, really liked the way that they did the end of this, where Monet goes to walk away and Statlander grabs her wrist, but Monet thinks that it's Willow and slaps the taste out of Willow's mouth, even breaks her money ring, the Monet ring. I thought that was an excellent way to start a little fight between the two, but have Statlander kind of sort of, did she do that on purpose or did she not, type of thing. I thought it was great.
No, I mean, and so Nat's really down on, like, it being a rough way to start Willow's title reign. I'll push back and say, like, yeah, it wasn't a great segment, but Willow did what you would expect from a champion in the company, and she rose above what I thought was a middling promo. And at the end of the day, I come out of it with, like, hey, Willow made that entertaining. So,
absolutely,
that's just me. Like, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Nat. I think Statlander was kind of flat, and so was Stokely, but that just kind of feels intentional to me, because I would be shocked if these two do not attack Willow within the next month and a half. I would bet money, and that's why you can't gamble on pro wrestling, because I would bet money that it's going to happen. So, like, for me, them falling flat feels kind of forced almost, because I know how great they can be. And the same goes with Mercedes. I think Willow brought up the segment. So,
yeah. All right, next up we had Alex Marvez desperately asking the EVPs one by one if Jack Perry has been reinstated. When Matthew Jackson at the end of the line of the EVPs says, "Listen, he is going to meet in the ring with Jack Perry later on tonight." And boy, I can't wait till we get back to that. I want to talk about that some more.
So before we get to, like, the serious part of the segment, I was dying. I don't know why, but it was so funny to me how Alex Marvez is dying for the scoop, and he asks Jack, and Jack just pats him on the shoulder and keeps walking. And then he asks Okada pats him on the shoulder, keeps walking. And then Nick just does the same thing. And he's like, Matt, please, I need the scoop. I'm Scoops Marvez. Like, you got to give me the scoop. It would have been really funny if Matt also just like kept walking. But no, I mean, it was great. Was good. But yeah, man, when they say Tony Khan's gonna meet Jack Perry in the ring tonight, I was like,
yeah, my eyes were like, woo.
What? Tony Khan in the ring? Okay, all right. Well,
Let's
okay.
go.
That was the weird thing about this Dynamite. I think some of the better things on the show were things that weren't announced at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what's coming up next.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about. Yeah.
Dude, this match that came up next, Rome, I don't even know what to call it. It's going to be tough to explain the rules here.
It has a name.
What was the name? What was the name?
It's called the Casino Gauntlet.
The Casino Gauntlet, okay.
All right, so I'll explain it then. I'll explain. So in the Casino Gauntlet, there is, and they confirmed this, there was up to 21 competitors in the back ready to go. So basically what happens is that it is a gauntlet match, but it's single elimination. So it's not in a standard gauntlet match. You have two competitors, and then you have to beat each other, and the person that wins the pinfall or submission goes on to face the next person in the gauntlet. In this match, it's one fall to the finish, single elimination. So there is a advantage to going in earlier because that way you have a chance to get into the ring and win the match. So basically, they didn't say a set time. If they do this again, which I think they definitely should, I would recommend them have some sort of timer, so that way, kind of like similar to the Royal Rumble, which I'll get into. But
Taz even mentioned that. He's like, no timer, no nothing. This is crazy.
Yeah, we had no idea. It was just like, just go. And so, yeah, that's the rules of the match. 21 competitors, not announced to the public. One comes out, they come out one at a time, obviously after the first two who start the match. You want to try to pick up the win as soon as you can because the more people come in, the lower your chances of winning, they go down.
And, this is kind of why I said it was hard to explain it, because when you say like a single elimination, it almost sounds like people can be eliminated. It was just whoever gets the first pinfall wins this match.
All right, yeah.
So, like Jay White versus Dante Martin started it, right?
Yeah.
Jay White could have just beaten Dante Martin and won this match.
Correct.
Could have just pinned him 1, 2, 3, and it would have been over.
Correct.
But as the match progressed, more people just keep getting added. But the first person to get a pinfall, they win. And dude, I can't tell you how much I loved this. I was absolutely, like, when we got to the first 3 or 4, so it was Jay White, Dante Martin, and then we got Penta, and I was like, oh, this is cool, we got Penta now. And then it was Kyle O'Reilly, and I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. I'm going to start paying, a little bit more attention here, like I gave it my full attention. And then all of a sudden, Will Ospreay's music hits. The crowd goes nuts. I was just like eyebrows to the ceiling. And that wasn't even the end of it. We get Lance Archer, Jay Lethal, but Lance Archer, dude. Lance Archer comes in and just wrecks house. We get a double table set up on the outside. Archer goes after Commander. Commander Hurricane Rana's Archer through the tables. Awesome table spot there. Thank you guys for the shout out. Jay Lethal comes in. Ospreay goes to use the Tiger Driver 91, the move that, caused Danielson all that pain at the end of Dynasty, that he said he was going to be retiring the move. He can't bring himself to hitting Jay Lethal with the Tiger Driver 91. Hidden Blade to Commander for the 1, 2, 3. And Will Ospreay is now going to face Roderick Strong for the International Championship.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
What a match. This was absolutely incredible. The second half of this match was just, this should have been on Dynasty, but obviously you couldn't because everybody was competing, you know what I mean? But like, this was just wow.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, because we've, AEW just, inadvertently, I'll just say it, like, maybe unexpectedly, you just discovered your Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like, I know the Casino Battle Royal is cool, but it is very similar to a Royal Rumble, right? This match, like, I don't think there's ever been a concept in pro wrestling where I was so cold on it and then so instantly like, oh wait, no, this is fucking dope. Because
agreed.
Like when they announced it, or like literally 30 minutes prior, they were just like, "Oh, well, there's this thing called a gauntlet, a casino gauntlet, and the winner gets a title match at Double or Nothing." And I'm just like, "Okay, what is this? Is this a battle royal? Like we already have what? Like why was this not announced?" And they're just like, "That's the whole point that it wasn't announced, is because you don't know who it's gonna be." And with the randomness, that's the casino part. Like, look, I would have another one of these. I saw, admittedly, I'm stealing this from someone on Twitter. I forget who it was, but I saw it and I was like, that's an amazing idea. Have another one of these at Double or Nothing, for a shot at the world title, and then that's your Royal Rumble. Like you have your Royal Rumble in place then. Every year, Double or Nothing, you do the casino gauntlet. It lets you load up with surprises. It's unexpected. You don't know how long it's going to go. Like, again, they've established via commentary that there was 21 wrestlers in kayfabe ready to go if needed. Dude. And they didn't make it that far. And I think that, again, like, there's so many, like, interesting stories you could tell there where, again, like where in, like, the Royal Rumble, you don't want to draw early. Like, in this, you want to draw early because if you go and, like, if you draw, like, 18, you might not even make it to the match. And I think that that's such a cool idea, that there's so many things they can do with that concept in the future. Like, this was a home run concept and a home run idea that produced an excellent match with a lot of exciting moments. And, like, the pop for, like you said, when Ospreay came out, when Lance Archer came out, like, those were really cool moments that, like, you could continue to recreate, or create at least, with different people. Like, this is such a great idea. This is what we call a home run idea. So kudos to Tony Khan. I don't know how late into the booking process he came up with it. The fact that it was announced 30 minutes prior, I don't know if that was part of the plan. Whoever came up with this idea, this is a brilliant idea, and there needs to be more of these, at least one a year.
Agreed. As soon as you said this should be their Royal Rumble, it was just like a light bulb. Like, yep, agreed. All right, so Ospreay picks up the win here, and man, there were two sequences in this match, both involving Ospreay, that were just unreal to me. Ospreay and Lance Archer had a fucking insane about minute and a half, and then Ospreay and Commander, their sequence was incredible too. It's just like, man, what can't this guy fucking do? He's so good.
You know, actually, real quick, just to rewind, because there's also something else Coog just brought up that's a great point. It's a testament to how strong and deep the roster is that you can do that kind of match. And Coach says, it's fresh, new, different stories, like I said. Think of all the amazing early Royal Rumble moments. Think of all of the amazing moments that can spiral off that intro. And again, like, you want to talk about, like, the sports-based presentation, too. Like, again, like, imagine just, like, oh man, like, just, you gotta hold on, like someone's about to tap out, and like, I could see them totally doing something like this where it's like, maybe they have someone who's like announced for the match. Could you imagine where it's like, and it's someone that you really want to have them win, and like someone is like about to tap out, and you're just like, no, don't tap, just like waiting for like your guy to come out. Like, even if they were to announce them, it might be a cool idea, but I would probably keep it anonymous for those.
Imagine we go like 5 years where there's 10 plus competitors, and then all of a sudden 1 year there's some up and coming guy that just 30 seconds, boom, just fucking destroys somebody one-on-one and wins. It's going to be like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Exactly. You can make stars, you can tell stories. There's so many possibilities with this brand new match type. And like, again, kudos to them for coming up with a whole new match type in 2024. Like, you know what I mean? You know how difficult that is? Like, that's why, like, sometimes it does suck, because WWE has like a lot of these like interesting match types, like Hell in a Cell. Like, AEW can't really do a Hell in a Cell because they probably have the trademark on Hell in a Cell. Like, it sucks that like AEW hasn't been around long enough to come up with these kinds of ideas to have some things that can compete with it a little bit.
Ooh, I like Nat's idea. Like, imagine somebody's in a submission as somebody's coming down the ramp, and then they tap out just as they get to the ring. Oh,
the equivalent of like someone sinking a three-pointer with like 1 second left in the game.
Kind of like Hangman tapping the Samoa Joe. Like, imagine if Swerve was running to the ring at that moment. You know what I mean?
He just hates him so much. Like, I can't let you have this. Tap out.
Just sees him and then just taps. Oh, wow. That's going to be great. They have so many things they could do with that. That match is incredible. What came up next was the exact opposite of incredible. The Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. Dude, Jericho, I don't know what he was doing here. He was like trying to play this heel character. I didn't like it at all. He just seemed to be speaking the opposite of the truth, if that makes any sense. Like, he literally, everything that came out of his mouth was things that you and I have said, but the exact opposite. He was like, every young and upcoming talent comes out better on the other side with me, and we're always like, that's not what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I this was horrible from beginning to end. Big Bill shows up for whatever reason. I guess Ricky Starks is gone. Big Bill shows up and says, Jericho, I would learning tree. You know it in your heart, Chris Jericho, that I'm the best fit for your learning tree. What the fuck?
So you might have seen, if you were watching the video version of, if you're watching the video, I put the glasses on because I was going to go off. And then I took them off because I decided, you know what? I put the glasses on as a fun way to convey what I see as a hot take or a negative take. And then, like, it dawned on me.
With you, though.
But it dawned on me that the glasses are fun, right? Like, I do it because it's fun to put the glasses on. I didn't have fun here. I fucking hate this. It's fucking terrible. Macho, if you're here, I'm sorry. Chris Jericho is fucking terrible in 2024. And I'm so sick of it. And it really sucks. It's really, really shitty. The saying, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. That's what this is. Because I hate that I have to sit here on a podcast in 2024 and badmouth someone who I have a lot of respect for in professional wrestling, one of the greatest of all time. But here we are, where, like, this is fucking terrible on so many levels. So number one, they gave him a new entrance. So they were like, you know what, Chris, we're going to give you this much attention where you're going to get a new entrance. I think it was a Fozzy song, but it doesn't matter. It sounded fucking generic as hell. They're leaning in with the learning tree. They're doing the whole vortex of Jericho, people getting sucked in, getting stronger, coming out. Here's the problem, right? So, like, the Bucks did this thing with their character, and this is where it gets fucking stupid. So the Bucks did this character change where they basically became what their haters said they were, right? And, like, that's what the Bucks have done. We've talked about it. Where, like, that's the gimmick. Where, like, hey, all of our haters said we're these EVP assholes who do this, that, and the third. We're going to do that. We're going to become that. And you know what? It's been phenomenal. Weeks after this change, Chris Jericho is copying exactly what the Bucks did. Chris Jericho saying, like, this is what people are fucking saying about me on Twitter. So I'm going to become exactly that. And guess what? Not only is it lame as fuck that you're stealing from the idea that the Bucks are doing, it's lame as fuck that you're doing that because there's a difference. The people that are saying that about the Bucks, they're haters. They're trolling. They are. Yeah. Those people aren't to be taken seriously, and the Bucks are doing it to make them mad. But fans like us who know that's not true look at this Bucks character, these Bucks characters, and it's like, okay, this is a hilarious thing. Whereas Jericho, he is taking the legitimate criticism of fans and doubling down on it. And, like, this is not heel heat. This is, I legitimately, like, I review this. We review this show, so I couldn't turn the TV off. I wanted to turn the TV off so badly. Like, I just did not want to watch this segment. But for the sake of the review, I kept my television on. If I wasn't reviewing this show, if this wasn't, like, not a job because I don't get paid for it, but if it wasn't like a responsibility that I had, I would not have finished that segment. That segment was fucking terrible. You have Jericho come out, and, like, you can tell he's writing this shit. Like, the joke where it's like,
100%.
Have the sign. Where the I just put my water everywhere. It's fine. Jericho's like, I had the who booked this crap sign, right? And I'm just like, yeah, that's great. Jericho booked this fucking segment, and it was fucking terrible. Absolute dog shit, right? And it's just, then you have Big Bill come out, and he's reading this promo off that definitely written by Chris Jericho, right? Like 100% written by Chris Jericho. He's like, Jericho, you're the GOAT. Everyone learns under you. This is incredible. I'm just, this is great. I need to be under the learning tree. And I'm just like, stop it. Enough, please. No more. No.
Yeah, all I could think of in my head was like, why is Big Bill involved? And I better get Enzo out of this or something. Where Enzo comes out like, why the fuck do you need Chris Jericho? Get the fuck away from that asshole. Something like that.
You know,
like, that's,
and it's just
please,
again,
Jesus.
it's just. I wrote down in my notes like that was trash TV. That was worthless television. That is minutes on this television show you could have easily given to literally anybody else on this show. It's garbage. It's garbage. And like, of course, like I'm not even mad in a heat way where it's like, oh man, now they're making he's making a mockery of the FTW championship because he's a heel, so he's trying to do that. I can't even get mad in a heel way because I'm so sick and fucking tired of Chris Jericho. Like, my God, like, you know, the Jericho vortex, like,
So
it's a charisma vacuum. Like, he just.
So I got a question for you on that note, Rome. Like, as you're making that, you know, that point there. The last time that this happened, we pushed Cody Rhodes away to the WWE. You know, as the fans booing him and stuff like that.
Do you think we're that lucky?
But do you think he's gonna go back and he's gonna fucking blow up like Cody did, or?
Honestly, no, I don't think he's going to. I think Chris Jericho is in AEW for the long haul. Tony Khan is going to give. At this point, we're beyond the point of like Tony Khan stepping in and saying enough is enough. We're past that point. That point was about a year and a half ago, Jeff. We're at the point now where it's very clear that Tony Khan's going to let Chris Jericho do whatever he wants. He's got the pencil. He's a top guy. As far as in Chris Jericho's mind, Jericho is one of the top 5 guys in the company right now, and that could not be further from the truth.
Juha says lies. He will go to WWE. Listen, Juhas, at this point, he's welcome to return to the E.
No,
let him have his list back. I'm fine with it.
To clarify to Juhas, it's not that I don't think Jericho wouldn't be willing to go back to WWE. I don't think it'll ever get to that point because I think Tony will let Jericho do whatever he wants to do indefinitely until Jericho calls it a career. That's why I don't think Jericho ever goes back to WWE because I don't think the need ever arises for him.
Jericho's the Hogan of AEW.
He is. He absolutely is. He's like, oh, do a job to hook? Don't work for me, brother.
He'll go back to go to the Hall of Fame.
I ain't doing that.
I could see it. All right, let's move on. Next up, we had Renee Paquette with Will Ospreay and Don Callis in the back. And Don Callis was asking Will Ospreay, why didn't you do the Tiger Driver 91? And he's like, I told you, I retired that move, bruv. I retired the move, bruv.
By the way, not to interrupt you, I totally blame Chris Jericho for my water bottle falling over, too.
I agree.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So we can already see the dissension in the ranks to the Callis family. Callis tells Kyle Fletcher he has no room to talk since he's basically a loser. This was a good little segment here. I like this.
Yeah, it was good. It sets dissension in the ranks and, you know, kind of sets up for the Callis family to split up, you know.
Yeah. Puts Ospreay back on our screen for another minute. Fucking, yeah. It was great. Next up, we had Jon Moxley versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And all I can say is I hope Will Hobbs is okay. It looked like he really injured his knee there right in the middle of the match.
Yeah, that sucks.
And he tried to fight through it, but man, there was points where he looked just like I did laying on the ground when I tore my meniscus. So I hope he's all right. He tried his best to give us an extra 3 or 4 minutes, you know, to fill in this time before the end of the show, but he was in an obvious, tremendous amount of pain. Moxley hits him with a paradigm shift, but he does kick out, only a 2 count. And then Moxley locks in the Bulldog choke for what felt like a good 25-30 seconds. They tried to, you know, drag it out as much as they could there, but Will Hobbs has to tap out. His knee was obviously not working. He tried a couple times to walk, and it was just collapsing underneath him. Again, just really hope Will Hobbs is all right. And, you know, we kind of got a little bit of a face-off with Takeshita and Moxley there at the end. So, you think Takeshita is going to be going after the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship?
I think it's a fair bet.
Right? It seems what they were hinting at there. But, nothing much you can say about this match. I don't think there was enough match to really say good or bad at all. It just, the injury happened pretty early on, to be honest, not in the middle like I said earlier. It is what it is. Let's all just hope Will Hobbs is all right. Next up, we had Shibata with Renee Paquette doing some more of his funny, translation stuff on his phone. I love this segment. I'm sure you liked it. I know you like the Shibata translation segments.
Yes.
And then it was time for Jack Perry in the ring with Tony Khan. Tony Schiavone calls out Jack Perry. Jack Perry tells Tony Khan that he only wanted what was best for AEW and that he should shake his hand and reinstate him into AEW. They not only shake hands, they hug in the middle of the ring, and Jack Perry turns and looks at the screen. And you can only imagine he is looking directly into the fucking soul of CM Punk.
Yep.
And he gave the greatest shit-eating grin I have ever seen, just like the one at Dynasty. This was great. And as Tony Khan is standing there holding Jack Perry's arm up in the air, celebrating, Jack Perry gives him a shot in the gut, sends Tony straight down to the canvas. I could not believe this was happening, even though, when you heard Jack Perry and Tony were going to be in the ring together, I had a feeling it was going to get physical.
So I actually didn't think that. I actually thought... So here's what I thought was going to happen, right? I thought that... Because, the last few weeks, with the all-in footage, there was a lot of, dumb discourse where it was, actually being spun as a negative, which I really do think it was a net positive at the end of the day. And I felt like what they were going to do was... I felt like this was going to be Tony's kind of last, not addressing of All In, but just the moving, the nail in the coffin of moving on. Where I thought Tony was going to embrace Jack and say Jack, AEW is your home. This is where you belong. I'm glad you're here. You're reinstated, and I thought that was going to be it. I thought it was going to be more so Tony just trying to send a message that hey, I showed this footage, and some people thought that oh, just drop it. We are done with it. It was done to prove a point because Punk started it. We're done. That's what I thought this was going to be. So it kind of went exactly as I expected until the point where Jack hit him. And then it got wild.
Dude, so not only did Jack give him the shot to the gut, the Bucks come out to stop. Seemed like he was going to give Tony a little bit more. The Bucks stop him. And I love the way the Bucks do this sometimes. The way that just all of a sudden you realize they're holding someone by the wrist on both sides and they're about to EVP trigger them. It was just oh shit, they have him in place for the EVP trigger. But tells him, hey, don't do it. Don't do it. So they help Tony Khan up to his feet. Okada gives the thumbs up, almost Batista-like back in the day, and then gives the thumbs down, and the Bucks pick Tony Khan up, flip him upside down in the pile driver position, and they hit him with the TK driver. The Tony Khan driver, Rome. Oh my God. I lost my mind. I was screaming back here in the podcast room. So much so that the wife had to turn on the TV in the living room to see what was happening. She sees Tony Khan taking the pile driver from the EVPs. I was just losing my shit here. Tony laying there motionless in the middle of the ring. The whole locker room spilling out, coming to Tony Khan's aid, or at least to just kind of stand over his dead body there. Yeah. And then the ultimate sell of this final angle, Shad Khan, Tony's father, coming out to help sell the angle. I don't know what more they could have done to make this any better here tonight. I thought this was incredible.
Yeah, as I've sat and marinated over the show, I opened the show and I said that like kind of wanted to like see how I felt, but like as we've gone on, like I really love this. So I saw a tweet like right before we went live, and like I was thinking about it, and like as the show's going on, I've thought about it more. So someone on Twitter that I follow referred to tonight, that segment, to an ECW show, the show that it's called the night the line was crossed, and that's the night that ECW kind of like arrived and like blew up. Right, that's the night that Shane Douglas won the Eastern Championship Wrestling title, the NWA title, and he's like, the NWA can kiss my ass, Coog knows. I know I've shared it with Coog before, but it's a legendary kind of like, it is like the evolution of ECW into ECW. And so someone made that connection, and like the more I've sat on it, I'm just like, yeah, this, like, we'll see where it goes, but like this could be like the night the line was crossed for AEW. Like, I mean, like, look, I thought this was an excellent segment. I think something that AEW, I don't think they've ever really, you could say about them, is that they're a heel territory. And right now, like, they're a heel promotion. They're a heel territory. Like,
yeah, you
got the Elite, you got the Don Callis family. Like, there are so many like nasty heels in this promotion right now that, like, it's the sharks. It's the Shark Tank. You're swimming in open waters with the sharks in AEW, because these heels are not playing around. They are running the show. Like, even those dorks in the Undisputed Kingdom, like there's a lot of heels right now, and for these baby faces, you're gonna see some big time performances come through from some baby faces who are about to get extremely over, trying to chase and fight these heels. Like, again, like Trent just turned heel. Like, it's such a heel heavy promotion right now, and it's being done really well. I think having Shad Khan come out is like the first ECW champ, Shane Douglas. Correct, Coog. Yeah, so I think that would be a great way to do it. And Coog says this as well. If Tony Khan, because I was
just gonna say this,
I'm watching the draft tomorrow regardless. But if Tony Khan, if they cut to the Jacksonville War Room and that man is wearing a fucking neck brace, this is the greatest angle in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah. We need to tweet it as much as possible so that he does it regardless.
Like yeah, you know what would be even crazier if like he's not in the War Room.
Just like at the draft, just like in the audience, and they just pan to him and he's wearing a neck brace. Dude.
Well, no, he's usually in the War Room. He's usually in the Jaguars' room. So like when they show the Jags' room, you can see him very clearly.
Okay, then I want him in there with the neck brace. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so like, but again, like I said, you could also even go one step further and just have him not at the draft. Like, he could be at the draft, but just be like, hey, like, be in the next room over, or like be off camera, like specifically sit in a part of the room where they can't see you. They could have a Tony Khan cutout. But yeah, like there's so many things they could do with this, and like honestly, like, look, the people that are gonna hate on this are the same people that hate on every single good thing this company does. You know, like there's gonna be a lot of, you know what? Actually, I'll actually go one further. I bet you that a lot of people that hate this company are going to love this segment.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be like, yes, finally.
Somebody finally shut Tony Khan up. Oh my God,
the funny thing,
they're going to get over with the WWE fan.
Bucks and Tony, so how are they going to, they're going to be like, wow, we got to like these Bucks now.
Oh, man. It's going to be so funny. It's going to be so funny to see the discourse of, like, Young Bucks good?
Dude, if Tony shows up in a neck brace anywhere, I will be so happy.
So yeah, this was excellent. It was just phenomenal stuff, and it sets up for like a big year. Like this is the yearly storyline. We talk about it, you know, around this time every year, where there's like clearly like a big storyline. As per usual, it involves the Elite. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I mean, again, Kenny Omega's coming back next week. Don't forget that pesky Hangman. He's in the he's in the shadows.
I was gonna say, Rome.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am so excited for the future of Swerve versus Hangman, where Hangman is gonna go out of his mind when he comes back and realizes that Swerve is the champion. Dude, I can't wait.
So that was my thought process. So like, I think maybe Hangman comes back and like aligns with the Elite as well.
It's possible. I was hoping he just plays like a dude who's losing his mind because he's, because Swerve's the champion now.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see.
All right. Well, that does it for the Dynamite review. Is there anything else that you wanted to go over here tonight?
Not really. There's a 3-hour Collision Rampage again on Saturday, which, I mean, it's the NBA playoffs, so it is what it is. I'm still struggling to get behind that. I'm not a big believer in the 3-hour shows.
It depends on how fast they go by. The last one wasn't so fast, but the first 2 were nice, so we'll see where it lands.
I get it. Like, it's cool every once in a while, but, man, 3 hours in a row on a Saturday, it's, like, exhausting.
Yeah, I know.
Especially after a long work week, like, just like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do a watch-along for it, obviously, so we don't turn that into a 4.5-hour show for us, so... we'll be here for a watch-along for the 3 hours. Join us on Saturday for Collision and Rampage, you said?
Yeah, that's just how they do it. So it'll be Collision,
yeah,
and then for 2 hours, and then Rampage for the 3rd hour. Again, I mean, I'm really excited for the parking lot brawl between Chuck and Trent. So
yes,
that's going to be
absolutely.
excellent. It's going to be special. It's sure to be a great show. I'm not doubting it. It's just, again, I'm same thing when Raw went 3 hours. I'm extremely skeptical. And I'm not a fan of it regularly, admittedly.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think it's time. Go ahead and close us out, sir.
All right. Well, I have to look up what episode it is because we haven't done a podcast in a while. It's episode 212 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us here tonight. Thank you to King of Hueco Mundo, the Coog, Coach, Queen Nat, and everyone else that was here with us tonight. I know we saw Juhas earlier.
Brandon
was here earlier.
There's so many, it won't let me scroll up anymore. King was here.
Yeah.
Coach was here.
Yeah, I gave King a shout out. Bebe was here earlier, I think. Sergio was here.
Sergio.
So thank you to everyone hanging out with us here tonight. Make sure you join the Discord to continue the pro wrestling discussions. You can follow us on Twitter, where there will also be more pro wrestling discussions, and decisions, I guess, along with other stuff like sports. The NFL draft's tomorrow, so I'm going to be watching the draft, and I will be live tweeting and live Discording during the draft. So I'm excited for that. So let's all hang out and have a good time there with that. We'll be back on Saturday with our AEW Collision watch along because it's going to be 3 hours. Is it starting at 8 o'clock or no?
I actually did not see. So join the Discord. You'll have to check with us, or We'll post it on the Discord there.
Yeah, or subscribe, which you should do anyway. Because you'll get notified when when Jeff sets up a video or a live stream. And other than that, if you like video games, we do the Game Room podcast usually every Monday night. We had a pretty fun show last week. Fallout's just a huge success. That's been a main talking point for the last 3 weeks. If you haven't seen it yet, everyone should go watch that show. It is phenomenal. But you can find that on our other channel in the description below until Saturday. That was a dope-ass segment to end that show.
Yeah, that was such a great segment at the end.
That was really good.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you everybody very much for joining us here tonight. And until Saturday, Top Guys, out.